Welcome to Escape Plans by Global Escapes. We know that constantly changing rules and restrictions can be so frustrating and overwhelming. We provide stress-free travel planning. Having a vacation to look forward to will be a game changer for you. Quick note, all attendees today are in listen-only mode. If you have any questions, please use the chat feature. We will answer as we go along. If you want to schedule a complimentary session with one of our advisors, please reach out to us at the phone number or email address in the chat box. So it seems like about 5 or 6 weeks ago, somebody flipped a switch and the travel industry is just ramping up as quickly as it can. I want to just kind of give a quick reminder to our listeners that as we move forward in the coming 6 to 12 months, we're all going to have a whole lot more patience. I know we've had to have a lot of that already over the last 12 months, but keep digging deep and going for the patience. You've got to be flexible. And really the most important thing we're trying to convey to people right now is plan ahead, plan ahead, plan ahead. And let me tell you why real quick, because all the people that were traveling in 2020 have been pushed out to later in 21 or to 22. So that's taking up some of the space. You've got limited destinations open at this point. So there's limited options. That's taking up a lot of space. So you really need to plan ahead. So let's start thinking about 2022 or 2023 and getting some plans made. And honestly, it really will help you have having something awesome to look forward to, especially after what we've all experienced in this last 12 months. So I want to welcome today, welcome back Tracy Aldridge with African Travel. Tracy has been in the travel industry since 1991, works with the Travel Corporation, represents Insight Vacations, Luxury Gold, Uniworld River Cruises, African Travel, and Red Carnation Hotels. We've already had a couple of updates with Tracy earlier this year on some of the other products. And if you missed those episodes, you can go to our YouTube channel and check those recordings out there. Great information about some of these products and destinations around the world. But today we are very excited to focus on Africa. The continent of Africa is amazing. And if it is not on your bucket list already, it should be. So we also have another special guest today. Director of Sales at African Travel is Kevin Cowie. Thank you guys both for joining me today, and tell us what is going on in Africa.
Well, Tiffany, I'll take it away. I'm absolutely thrilled to be with you guys today. Thank you so much for such a wonderful introduction. And it is truly our pleasure to be with you, at the Travel Corporation, of which African Travel is part of. We are just so thrilled to work with you guys at Global Escapes. And I love to start off by telling everybody that we believe in you guys so much that we actually do not deal with your travelers directly. We really believe in the value of what your global escapes advisors bring to the table and why they're so important for planning these trips for your clients and for the travelers. So if you are thinking of traveling to Africa, your Global Escapes advisor is absolutely your best resource, and we will work in partnership with them to make sure that you are going to have what is truly going to be a life-changing experience. Now, if you can't tell already, I am incredibly passionate about Africa. Honestly, I could have you here for the full day, but I know we don't have that time. So let's move on as quickly as we can. So as Tiffany said, my name is Kevin, and I am the Director of Sales for African Travel. And I am actually originally from Africa. I'm born and raised in Zambia, which is in central southern Africa. So Africa is truly in my blood and in my DNA as well. But at African Travel, our moniker is We Know Africa, purely and simply because it is true. We are North America's largest tour operator that focuses exclusively on Africa. We do nothing but Africa. We eat, breathe, and sleep it 24/7, 365. So we are all about Africa. And this is just my ugly mug here. I just want to let everybody know Africa is open for travel. This was Jake, and just a few weeks ago, I was in Kenya in East Africa myself personally, and had a simply amazing, amazing trip. It was truly incredible. So Africa is open and ready for you. And in African travel, we focus on these 17 countries, which are truly mostly sort of what I would consider to be traditional safari Africa. So we do Egypt, but then we come on down through East, Central, Southern, and all the way down to South Africa. And as we have mentioned, we are part of Travel Corporation. Travel Corporation was founded in a small fishing village just outside of Cape Town in South Africa 101 years ago. So Africa and the family, this Travel Corporation, by the way, largest privately held travel company in the world, and the family that owns it is South African. So Tracy will never admit this because he's got to be cool to all the other brands that are our sisters. But African Travel, because Travel Corporation founded in South Africa, because the family that owns it is South African, African Travel is the favorite child in this company without question. So
I'll admit that, Kevin. I'll go ahead and go on record. Yes,
absolutely.
Everything else is chopped liver. No, it's not.
No, that's not true. But
that's
so
true.
At African Travel, we like to make it that you can travel the way you want to travel. We're great believers in this is a big investment of your time, certainly an investment of your money. And therefore, it should be done the way you want to do it. And that's why it's so important we work with your advisor at Global Escape, because they hopefully have done other trips for you. They have an idea of how you like to travel, the pace you like to travel, the accommodations you like, and then we work with them together. So it's always like to say they have an intimate knowledge of you. We have an intimate knowledge of Africa. The two of us come together and we create the perfect marriage to create the absolute perfect trip for you to go to Africa. And every trip we're going to create is going to speak to sustainability. And I did move on a little quickly there, but the three pillars, which are the continent of Africa, conservation of wildlife, and of course, the communities as well. It's very important that we talk to those and keep those, because all three need to work together to ensure the future of the continent of Africa. So I want to start right now with South Africa. And why South Africa? This to me is Africa 101. Everybody you're going to interact with there speaks English, hot and cold running water everywhere, flushing toilets everywhere, and food that is going to blow your socks off. Absolutely amazing. We hear that from everybody that comes back. You know, we knew the animals were going to be kind of fun, exciting, that we hoped the scene would be good, but the food was just fantastic, even in the middle of nowhere. It was great. And we know that absolutely with anybody's trip to Africa, they're hoping to see cute animals. And certainly we're going to make that happen in several formats. But before getting onto the safari portion, one of the great pleasures of visiting South Africa is to be able to go to Cape Town. This is the mother city of the country. It is a beautiful city surrounded on three sides by water, the iconic Table Mountain in the background. This is a very outdoorsy city. If anybody has ever been to Sydney, Australia, a very similar feel to it, very outdoors, a wonderful quality of life. And everybody, of course, wants to go up Table Mountain. The views from the top there are fantastic. But one of the most commonly requested touring options is to go out to Cape Point. So Cape Point is a very important part of our planet geographically. It is where it's the southernmost point of the continent of Africa. It also happens to be where the Indian and Atlantic Oceans come together. So it really is really important, but it's a beautiful part of Africa. It's very blustery and very rugged. And just about 20 miles along the coast from Cape Point, we have Boulders Beach. And here we have a year-round colony of penguins, which really surprises a lot of people. So you don't have to go all the way to Antarctica to see penguins. We have them for you right here in South Africa. And as I always love to say, who doesn't like to see a couple of penguins kissing on the beach? Also the winelands, the winelands of the South African wines have come such a long way in the last 25 or 30 years. And they're winning prizes with the very, very best of the Californian and French wines and so on. And the Cape winelands are only about 25 miles outside of the center of Cape Town. So as you can see, this scenery is stunningly beautiful. This is a Kodak moment at every turn. And even if you're not into wine, it's really worth, because it's so close to the city, to come out here, spend a half a day, have a wonderful lunch. There are fabulous restaurants out here, and just see the scenery and see some of rural South Africa that's not the safari portion. But if you are into wine, to come out, do a wine tasting and a lunch, or perhaps spend the full day, do 2 or 3 tastings. And there are fabulous boutique hotels out here. Many people come and do 2 or 3 nights here, in addition to their time in Cape Town. And the people of South Africa are one of the biggest bonuses of, and that actually goes for all over Africa, Tiffany. You know, it's really, people in Africa are so welcoming, they're so friendly, they have these wonderful smiles, they sing beautifully. And that's something we hear from all of you when you travel to Africa is, we went for the animals, but we would absolutely go back to meet more of the people and see more of the culture. So let's take a look at the safari portion in South Africa now. I'm going to use a word here, but I always use it in the most positive terms possible. You're going to be shocked by how up close and personal you get with the animals in South Africa. This image is in no way doctored, but it is very safe, and it's an amazing experience. You know, every trip to Africa is a life-changing experience, and secondly, it's going to be loaded with wow moments. I cannot guarantee what your wow moments are going to be. This is nature, it's not animatronics. I can guarantee there will be wow moments on every trip to Africa. And of course, everybody's really looking for the big 5, which are the lion, buffalo, elephant, the leopard up in the top right there, which is the most elusive of the big 5, and the rhino, which is the most critically endangered. We are in a race against time, but one of the great things we do in African travel is I talked about the sustainability, and we have several initiatives that are out there trying to save the future of the rhinos, because it is a race against time. We're still losing the race, but we are trying very, very hard indeed. Now, there are several places in South Africa where you can go on safari. And I just wanted to focus on one because it happens to be my personal favorite, actually one of my favorite private reserves in all of Africa. It is actually kind of lesser known. Everybody that goes to South Africa usually wants to go to the Kruger area. This is down in the southeast portion of South Africa. One of the great things about it is this is a malaria-free part of South Africa. So you can go on safari and not have to worry about malaria. So Shamwari does an amazing, amazing job. They have all of the big 5. I personally think their ranges are beyond exceptional. They do an amazing job. And they, in addition to going on safari and going on game drives and seeing the animals out in the wild, they also have other features, one of which is their wildlife rehabilitation center. So when you walk through this archway that we see here, each of these cement pillars has a year on it, and below the pillar, they list all of the animals that have gone extinct in that year. It's very poignant, it's very sad, but it is also an amazing reminder of why we're trying so hard with wildlife conservation in Africa, and it can't be taken for granted. And they have Africa's #1 rhino, saving the rhino conservation program. And they take baby rhinos that have been orphaned invariably because the poachers have killed the mothers for the horns. The babies are left alone. So they find them, they bring them to Shamwari, and they rehabilitate them, and they are able, with huge success, to return them to the wild. It's a great, great program. So you may wonder, what is a sheep doing in the middle of this picture? So the sheep is there because they try to keep the human interaction with these animals to an absolute minimum. And sheep make incredibly good companions for baby rhinos, also, in fact, for baby elephants. So they have them in there, and it just helps to keep that human interaction, which makes it a lot easier to return them to the wild further down the road. Now, I'm sure you're looking at this and going, oh my gosh, what is this? So this is another feature at Shamwari. They go around the world and they find big cats, primarily lions, that are being kept in conditions like we're looking at here. These 2 were found in a zoo in Bulgaria, in this cage, just terrible. And they find them in circuses and zoos, and crazy people that keep them as pets. And they bring them back to Shamwari, and they allow them then to live their lives out in comfort. Those 2 lions their feet had never touched grass or soil until they came to Shamwari. So it's an amazing story. Now, unfortunately, these animals are always too old to be able to release back into the wild, but it's a really great success story, and it's a heartwarming story. And it's another thing that you can do at Shamwari when you're visiting there, aside from those traditional game drives that we do. #1 add-on to any trip to Southern Africa is, of course, Victoria Falls. largest curtain of water in the world, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. I'm asked all the time, Kevin, I've been to Niagara, do I need to go to Victoria Falls? That would be a resounding yes, absolutely, 110%. This is water on steroids. And you can be as crazy as you want here. You can go bungee jumping and zip lining, take inflatables out, helicopter tour over the falls, magnificent. And there's crazy people sitting in the middle there. If you look behind them, you'll see that kind of change of gray. They are actually sitting on the edge of the falls. Yes, it's a little suicidal, but it is an adrenaline rush and it's really fun. You can only do that for a very few weeks of the year when the falls are in low flood. So let's now move up to East Africa very quickly and take a look at Kenya. And why would we want to go to Kenya? Kenya is all about wildlife, wildlife, wildlife. So we do have the city of Nairobi, which is the main gateway into Kenya. And Nairobi has a unique feature in Nairobi National Park, which is the only national park like this in the world that abuts right up to the city center, as you can see. And yet the animals here are thriving and they are abundant. So it does prove that humans and animals can live together. We also like to look in Nairobi at some of the sustainable or give back opportunities. This is for the community. This is the Kazuri Beading Project. That's a group of ladies who are very down on their luck and on life and just weren't sure what to do, but they were very talented with their hands. So they make these beads from scratch. They make pottery, and you can go there, and by going there and visiting with them, you're learning about their culture and their life and giving back to the community. And it also gives you the opportunity, if you're interested, to buy something from them. And it means that when you get it home, A, it's going to be unique, it's handmade by the people that you met. And secondly, when you look at it closely, it's not going to have made in China on the bottom or something like that, which we do see all over the world. Another great thing to do in Nairobi is the David Sheldrick Wildlife Foundation. So this is to Kenya what Shamwari is to South Africa for the rhinos. Here they're looking after the baby elephants. And same thing, they do keep the human interaction to a minimum, but you can actually go ahead, you can adopt a baby elephant before your trip, and while you're there, you can go and see the baby elephant. You can't touch it, you can't play with it, you can't feed it, but you can at least see it, and these also great success story in returning them to the wild. In the southern part of Kenya, we have Amboseli National Park, which is very famous for its elephants. And here they're called tuskers because many of them have tusks that literally touch the ground. It's just incredible. And of course, this is also from here, you can always get amazing views of Mount Kilimanjaro, which is Africa's crown jewel. And interestingly enough, it is the highest freestanding mountain on the planet. It's at about 22,000 feet. So any other mountains that are higher than this are parts of a range. So this one is a freestanding, and I'm never very sure whether the animals are photobombing the picture or the mountain is photobombing the animal pictures, but one way or the other, and both of them together make for great pictures. Moving up into the northern part of Kenya, we've got Buru National Park. This is now where we're starting to get into those wide open, beautiful plains of Africa. Here we also have 5 species of animal that are found nowhere else in Africa, only in the Samburu region. And they all have a uniqueness to them. And the rangers just love to talk about it and tell you what the differences are. I'm not going to go into great detail about that. We don't have time, but super quickly, you do see on the left here that this is a greavy zebra. If you look at it closely, the stripes on it are much, much more densely packed than you would normally see on a zebra. And by the way, in Africa, don't forget, we do call them zebras and not zebras. Also have the opportunity here to meet the Samburu people, who are an ancient tribe and very, very interesting. And it's really great to go and meet them and see their traditions and their cultures. And then, of course, no visit to Kenya would be complete without going to the Masai Mara. So this is the Africa of the out of Africa. When you think of out of Africa, you see that raw, those magnificent, wide open plains, the beauty of just this majestic part of Africa, dotted with acacia trees, absolutely, simply incredible. And, when you see the documentaries on National Geographic and PBS, this is the Africa that so many people think of, and we'll see it in the Masai Mara. And to be able to come here and do breakfast out in the bush is just so fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. It's truly amazing. I'm actually just going to go back. I want to show you. So this is not my picture, but when I was here, we actually were at the same tree. We did breakfast out in the bush. And while we were having breakfast, the rangers are very astute. They know what's going on. They're incredibly intelligent and knowledgeable. And they said, there are cheetah in the area. Let's pack up. We packed everything up. And 10 minutes after we had packed everything up, we're back in the Jeep. There were 5 cheetah at this tree. It was absolutely amazing. A wow moment in Africa, to be sure. Move on now quickly to Tanzania. So Tanzania and Kenya do share a border. And one of my favorite places in Tanzania is Tarangiri National Park. Again, we love at African Travel to do those kind of under the radar places that you don't get a lot of people going to and yet have an incredible wildlife experience. And Tarangiri is one of those, as is Lake Manyara. And as the name would imply, it is a lake, has a plethora of 4-legged animals, but has one of the planet's largest collection of bird life. So it's really interesting to go here just for a night and see something very, very different. And then on to Ngorongoro crater. So this is one of the planet's largest volcanic craters. It is, many people feel it should be considered one of the 8th wonder of the world. But truly, truly beautiful. Lots of animals live in the base of the crater, in the floor of the crater. They never leave the crater. No humans are allowed to live in the crater. And you know, I have to tell you, I love this because all of the lodges and camps are on the rim of the crater. And you come out onto your balcony early in the morning and you've got your steaming hot cup of coffee and you look down into the floor of the crater and you can hear the lions roaring and the elephants trumpeting and the clouds are cascading down the side of the crater like a waterfall. Oh gosh, these are moments that you bring back from Africa that are so truly, truly incredible. And then of course, we have the Serengeti. So the Serengeti is to Tanzania what the Masai Mara is to Kenya. Again, these wide open spaces. Serengeti, probably the most famous of all the national parks in Africa. And Serengeti and the Masai Mara are home to the Great Migration. Biggest myth about the Great Migration is that this is just a once-a-year event, but it actually happens at 12 months of the year, as you can see by this map here. So if anybody wants to travel and they can only go to a certain time of year, but they are interested in seeing the migration, we know where to take you and how to get you there to do it. But don't worry, because if you go outside of migration time, there are thousands of animals that live in all over this area all year round. So they just get joined by tens of thousands of animals during migration time. And to come across a wall of animals like this, of course, it's unspeakable. It fails words. It's truly incredible. And to waft over the plains of Africa in a hot air balloon, oh my gosh, absolutely fabulous. In total silence, excuse me, looking down, seeing the animals, the changing landscapes, absolutely beautiful. Moving on now to Rwanda, the smallest country in Africa. This is all about primates, 13 different species of primates that are found nowhere else on the planet. The most important of them is, of course, the gorillas. Very few people ever have the opportunity to trek with gorillas, but at African Travel, we can make that happen. And this is beyond a life-changing experience. It's absolutely amazing. But this is also home to chimpanzees in their natural habitat. And you know, I always think it's interesting when we talk of Africa, chimpanzees are not always the first animal we think of. But when we say chimpanzees, of course, we think of Africa. So one of the few places in the world where you have the opportunity to see chimpanzees. Moving back down south again, we come into Botswana. And Botswana is absolutely home to the Okavango Delta and therefore water everywhere. Your safari experience will certainly include lots of activity in and on and around the water. And the animals have all adapted to living in, on, around the water as well. I would be very amiss, and I am sure you've already had a look at Red Carnation, but they are our sister company, and they just opened in December what is absolutely going to be Africa's #1 safari lodge once things get back to normal. Stunningly, stunningly beautiful. And this is Kidra Safari Lodge. And they have a very unique feature here with the Baobab Suite that I'm sure Tracy has brought you all up to date about and talked about. So I'm not going to go great detail about it. Suffice to say that doing that starbed option up on the top of it is simply amazing. But as I said, you know, Africa is all about those wow moments. And gosh, you don't get much more wow than something like this. And you come home with images like this, you are going to be the talk of the cocktail parties and dinner parties in your villages and towns and cities for days, weeks, and months to come. Right next door to Botswana, we have Namibia. Interesting because these two countries do share a border. And as I said, Botswana, full of water. Namibia is all about the desert. And the biggest surprise here is that we have all the traditional safari animals here living in the desert. So elephants and lions and rhinos and giraffes and everything you're going to find them here in the desert in very harsh conditions. Another great way to see Namibia is on Rovos Rail. So Rovos Rail does travel all over Africa, but I love their Namibian itinerary. It starts in South Africa, goes through the western part of South Africa, and then into the southern part of Namibia and all the way up into the top. And it is traveling in Namibia in absolute luxury. And, you know, Namibia is all about color, the beauty of that sand, the colors. It's a feast for the senses. It is just so, so beautiful. Super quickly now, Zambia and Zimbabwe. These are in Central Africa. I told you at the beginning, I'm originally from Zambia, so I'm very biased here. A quick mention, the top right, top left, that's Mfui Lodge in Zambia. This lodge was built around a grove of mango trees, and the elephants had been feasting on these mangroves for generations. So when the lodge was built, they were like, well, to heck with your lodge. We still want to come for our mangoes. And their traditional paths, elephants are animals of habit and tradition. And their traditional paths took them through what is now the lobby and lounge of the lodge. So they still come. So again, another wow moment. I cannot guarantee this will happen to you or for you when you are at Mfui Lodge. But if it does, wow, absolute great way to see animals. And the last country we're going to visit will be Madagascar. So this is the island 500 miles off the coast, southeast coast of the continent of Africa, but a complete world apart. 85% of the flora and fauna here found nowhere else on the planet. 107 species and subspecies of lemur. Color reigns supreme. And if we look up in the top right there, we see my little friend. That is a blue-eyed black lemur. And his claim to fame is he's the only primate on Earth, aside from human beings, that has blue eyes. So you heard it here if you didn't know it before. So then people say, well, Kevin, this is all very well, but where are we going to stay? Is it going to be a mud hut with a thatched roof and a hole around the back for the bathroom? Nothing could be further from the truth. So this is not a presidential suite. This is a standard bathroom at a lodge in South Africa. Yes, it does have a private plunge pool on the deck. Not all of them do, but if you want that, we can absolutely make that happen for you. This is a tent. I know when you think of tents, people think of Boy Scout tents with a cooler and a cot and whatever. This is truly, it's got wood floors, it has sliding glass doors. Many tents that we work with have air conditioning if it's an area where you would normally expect and use and need air conditioning. Look down at the bottom of the deck, at the end of the deck there. You have your own private plunge pool in this one as well. This is at Sandili. It's actually in Shamwari. This is a Sandili tented camp in Shamwari. It's raised up, it looks out over the African plains, and just sitting on your balcony there, and I don't have a picture of the bathroom, I should have, they have these wonderful clawfoot tubs, and to be there with a glass of champagne, picture windows in front of you, looking out at the animals in the plains of Africa, incredible. And I mentioned the starbed when we looked at Kidra in Botswana. This is another starbed. You know, we all live under the same sky. Light pollution, whatever, most of us don't get to see it in its true glory, but in Africa you will. 1 million points of light shining down upon you. And what better way to do it than to sleep out under the stars in a starbed. And just in case you're wondering, if you drop down below the four-poster bed, move a little bit to the right, you see that little enclosed area there, that is your bathroom. So you don't have to pee over the edge in the middle of the night. You will still be able to go to the bathroom. Comfort. And wow, look at this. Oh my gosh, you've come back from a day of game driving and you've been out in the sun all day and it's a bit dusty. What a throwback in time. You know, I just love these kinds of things. And these are things that happen in Africa all the time. And, you know, they're sitting there with their glasses of champagne looking out at those majestic plains of Africa. The animals will be roaming below. Just truly, truly magnificent. Absolutely fantastic. And dining. You know, I talked about the food in South Africa, but that's all across Africa. You're going to be blown away by the quality of food. This is not your Blazing Saddles, open fire, tin of beans over a fire, wooden spoon thing. You are going to have gourmet dining everywhere you go. You're going to be blown away by it. Of course, we talked about the big five. There are many, many, many other animals in Africa. And just closing, where, you know, we've got probably one of the most wonderful traditions we do in Africa are sundowners, where we stop 10, 15, 20 minutes before the sun sets. We pour a drink and we toast a farewell to the sun every day. I love that, and we do it all over Africa. So right now we do have a special for Global Escapes. If you happen to, if you're interested and you book and put a deposit down by June 30th, there will be a $200 safari credit. You can put that toward optional touring if you're going to Cape Town. You can take it off the price of the trip that your Global Escapes advisor is going to create for you. Whatever you want to do with it, it's a very flexible use of $200 per person. So we would love for you to come and experience our Africa. My gosh, this was absolutely an express tour through Africa. Your Global Escapes advisors are certainly ready. You know, anybody can do Africa 101, but hey, throw them a curveball. Let's do something a little fun. Let's think out of the box here, because that's what we do at African Travel. So you know where to go, you know where to find them. Those phones are armed. I just know they are, Tiffany, and we're ready to make the dreams come true together. So for your clients.
Oh,
so,
yes.
thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you so much. That was a whirlwind tour, but I couldn't take the smile off my face. I mean, all of the things that you shared, and I've been fortunate enough to get to visit Africa. It's been, I'm ashamed to say, 23 years since I was there. So it is definitely time for me to go back. But it really is such an amazing a place on our planet that, you know, the pictures, the conversation, the descriptions you gave, it's you really just have to go to experience it to really fully understand how awesome it is. Thank you. So real quick before we wrap up, tell me a little bit about, obviously the world is looking a little different right now than it was 12 to 14 months ago. Tell me a little bit about some restrictions. They have them, they don't have them. How is all that being handled in some of these different countries within Africa?
Absolutely. So yes, so Africa in general is all completely open. As I say, I was just there recently myself to experience it. Yes, you do have to have a negative PCR test in order to arrive, as is pretty much everywhere in the world now. But once you're in country, then the restrictions are few and far between. Now they are like any other part of the country of the world. Every now and then they have, you know, they might have a spike, and so there'll be a lockdown or a temporary period. But there have been very few and far between situations like that. And at African Travel, we are on top of all of that. So we're watching the situation very carefully. But like the rest of the world, they're moving in the right direction, and things are happening, and those situations are becoming fewer and fewer. So as I said, the whole of Africa is open. And then when it comes time to, you know, come home, of course, we do have to make sure that you can get a negative COVID test, a PCR test, to return to the United States. And we enable that as well. So no matter where you are in Africa, we can make sure that that can get to you and can be done, and so on. And then when it comes to all other things like, you know, do I need visas? Do I need yellow fever? Do I need any other inoculations? Standard things. We have all of the answers to those things. Super quickly, I will tell you that for South Africa, for US citizens, no visas required and no other inoculations required. So it is a very easy trip for US citizens. Other parts of Africa, it does depend a bit on the itinerary, the countries you visit. But again, we will work with with your advisors at Global Escapes to make sure that the clients know exactly and in plenty of time what they're going to need, what they might, you know, and prepare for, and so on. So we have all of the answers to all of those, and also extra things like, as I mentioned, Shamwari, malaria-free. You know, usually when people are going on safari, they automatically assume they're going to have to or consider malaria prevention. But we know where to go, where you don't have to worry about things like that, if that's something you want to be concerned with, or finding those little places that fly off the, you know, under the radar and are not so well known, and yet provide an amazing experience.
Right. So, and you know, you talked about the wide open spaces. Another, you know, I just want to kind of mention again, this is why it's so important for people to plan in advance, because these lodges and these safari camps are smaller. They have limited, you know, accommodations. It's really important for them to maintain the integrity of the places that they're located, and make it an amazing experience for the people who do come. So, you know, that there are a limited number of options there in each of these camps and things. So this is why it is really important to plan ahead. So Kevin, you've really given us something to look forward to. I'm so ready to get back over there and experience the animals. And you know, I want to mention this is such a great experience for anybody experiencing or have an upcoming a big anniversary. And something that I did not was not on my radar until I went to Africa and actually experienced running into a honeymoon couple while we were on our trip years ago. What an amazing honeymoon destination. This really is such a cool place to go to really just unwind, unplug, and focus on yourself and just the nature, and just very romantic and very just recharging. So definitely consider that for the honeymooners out there. Thank you guys for joining us today and filling us in and giving us some inspiration. And I just want to remind everybody, if you have any questions, if you're interested in talking more about a potential safari in the next couple of years, reach out to us. We would love to help. We have, this is why we partner with great companies like African Travel, like Kevin so eloquently said in the beginning. They know the destination inside and out, and our goal is to get to know you, your preferences, your priorities, and it's really important that we all come together and make it an amazing experience anytime you travel. Again, just things are picking up. Availability is limited. I really just want to encourage everybody to start planning ahead. Tracy, it was good to see you again today. Let's schedule that a quick session to talk about the women only trips. I definitely want to do that. And then I just want to let everybody know we will be back next week, May the 6th, to talk with our friends at Beaches Resorts, our family-friendly, all-inclusive resorts in the Caribbean. So we're going to go all the way from Africa back to the Caribbean. But this is what we do. We're working with people all over the world. It is so much fun. We can't wait to help people get back out there. And if you want to stay up to date with our events, check out our website, globalescapes.com/events. And that is where we are putting all of our upcoming webinars. And I will say, after the event next week, we're going to be taking a short little break. I've got a senior about to graduate, and we've got to get her ready for her graduation. So we'll take a few weeks off there. But stay in touch with us and let us know if you have any questions about any upcoming travel plans. It is tricky right now to navigate that landscape. But we are here to help. We want to make it happen for you. So stay in touch. Tracy, Kevin, you guys take care. Stay in touch as well. And we look forward to talking with you soon.
Sounds great. Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Kevin.
Bye-bye.